Fable 5 and Mythos 5. Everyone's been asking what the difference is. Here's the twist. They're not two different models. They're the exact same weights. The only difference is what one of them is allowed to tell you. Let's actually break that down. So Anthropic has this thing called the Mythos class. It's a tier of models above Opus, their previous flagship. Back in April 2026, they quietly released the first one, Mythos Preview, but only to a smaller group of vetted cyber defense partners through a program called Project Glasswing. Why so restricted? Because the raw model was genuinely dangerous in the wrong hands. In testing, it found thousands of zero-day vulnerabilities completely autonomously. On one benchmark, it produced 181 working exploits against Firefox, where their previous model, Opus 4.6, managed exactly 2. That's not a small gap, that's a different category of capability. On June 9th, 2026, Anthropic did something interesting. They released the sanitized public version, that's Fable 5, and alongside it, gave the ungated version a new name, Mythos 5. Same day, same underlying model, different names because of what happens next. Here's the architecture. And this is the one piece of the system Anthropic actually discloses, because everything below this is still a total black box. Nobody outside Anthropic knows Fable 5's layer count, its attention mechanism, or its training data. That's true of every frontier lab right now, not just them. But this part, they've told us directly. Fable 5 runs 3 real-time safety classifiers in front of their model, one for cybersecurity, one for biology and chemistry, and one for model distillation. Every query passes through the same 3 classifiers first. If a request trips any one of them, Fable 5 doesn't answer directly. It silently reroutes the request to Opus 4.8 instead and tells you a fallback happened. Mythos 5 is the same weights with those same 3 classifiers stripped out entirely. Let's look at the real numbers, not just the marketing claims. On SWE Bench Pro, a coding benchmark, Fable 5 scored 80.3%, Opus 4.8 scored 69.2%. On Anthropic's GDP Val AA, it scored 1932, 1890. Here's the one I personally find the most interesting. Anthropic ran a test where they gave Fable 5 persistent file-based memory and had it play the deck building game Slay the Spire. With that memory, its performance improved 3 times more than the same setup improved with Opus 4.8, and it reached the game's final act 3 times as often. That's not a coding benchmark, that's a signal about long horizon autonomy. The model's ability to build on its own nodes over an extended task. That matters a lot more for real agentic work than any single benchmark score. Mythos 5 matched or beat skilled human operators on protein design across 9 of 14 test targets. One honest caveat here, because Fable and Mythos share the exact same weights, what these benchmarks are really showing you is raw capability minus whatever the classifier intercepted. That's a genuinely unusual thing to be benchmarking, and it's worth sitting with. So here's where things get genuinely uncomfortable. Because Mythos 5 is the version with the safety net removed, it is also the version the US government is the most anxious about. And that anxiety about the gate is arguably what the entire export control fight in June was actually all about. Can Anthropic be trusted to keep that gate closed? On June 12th, just 3 days after the launch, the Commerce Department issued an export control order forcing Anthropic to suspend both models globally, triggered by a jailbreak that Amazon researchers reported, where a specific prompt got Fable 5 to identify software vulnerabilities and in one case produce exploit code. Anthropic's response was interesting. They said every other model they tested, including their own older models, could reproduce the same result. So why did only Fable 5 get banned? Well, there's no clean answer to that, but there's a detail worth sitting with. Amazon has $13 billion invested in Anthropic, runs Anthropic on AWS Cloud, and simultaneously competes with them through their own Nova model, a competitor and an investor, and being the one who reported this to the US government. I'm not going to tell you what to conclude from that, I just think you should know it. Here's the question I keep coming back to. Anthropic is the one deciding who counts as a vetted partner for the ungated version, That's a private company making a call that, a few years back would have unambiguously belonged to the government. Is that the right way to gate technology this capable? I don't think there's a clean answer yet, and I don't think anyone fully knows. If this was useful, I would love for you to share your feedback and comments. I'm gonna keep this real and keep posting similar content. So see you in the next one, guys.